my name is Marcela Alonso and welcome to my YouTube. So I just want to thank you for being here, for watching my videos. I greatly appreciate. Today my story time topic is places I have lived. I have always lived, by the way, in the United States. So this story time I wanted to share about the different places, the differences of different states, and I've also lived on the West Coast and I've also lived on the East Coast. So I wanted to share so badly about different places because what's crazy is sometimes I miss stuff on the West Coast, sometimes I miss stuff. You know, I'm right now currently living in the East Coast. I live in New York. I live in Brooklyn, so you've probably already seen near the Brooklyn Bridge. So, you know, there's different cities I've lived, and I am a Gemini. It's hard for me to sit still. So it all started, I was born in the East Coast, right? Right in the Bronx, yes. Then I was raised at a very young age. I was brought to Florida, where I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Yeah, that's where I grew up. Let me tell you, Tampa in the late 90s, very early 2000s. If anybody watches Euphoria, if you watched Breaking Bad, okay, Breaking Bad, Pinkman, is it? Pinkman? And then Euphoria, Fez, okay. I literally grew up with like 5 to 10 of those people, literally in Tampa. And now, like, I look at Tampa and I'm like, what happened? So I do have a big majority of family, my father and my mother's side, either in New York, Tampa, and in Miami. So let me get to the story there. I grew up in Tampa, went to high school there, went to college there. I went to college in Tampa, went to University of South Florida, graduated from community college. It was called Hillsborough Community College over there. And then this is going to be another story time, but I'm just talking about the places I lived. For some circumstance, I had to move. And the destination I chose first when I was young was Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas, it was kind of weird. Like, me growing up in Florida, you know, I was used to seeing beaches. I never saw mountains. I never saw anything. I remember when I was living in Tampa, I did see a psychic and she said, you're going to be living around mountains. Well, growing up in Florida, I thought like North Carolina, South Carolina, I can't see myself there. I'm sorry. In a way, I'm a big city girl, okay? I was like, oh, this psychic's crazy. But I ended up, and one day when I was in Vegas, it like came to me. I was like, damn, this psychic is right. I see mountains all over me. I moved to wonderful Henderson, Nevada, and it was great. It was nice, but I'll be honest, I just didn't feel Vegas. Some of my closest friends live in Las Vegas, and the best people in the world I know live there, but it's just not a place for me. A very good friend of mine, Brittany Andrews, by the way, she lives there. Another good friend of mine, she goes by Ava Divine, she lives there. I met her way back when there. Another good, sweet, just generous soul. Like, those two ladies are just very dear to my heart. I've met Brittany recently, but I have known Ava a long time, and she's just a very dear, sweet person to me. You understand? Like, I remember the first time meeting her, and she's a gorgeous girl. Like, her personality, and you know, I have some other friends there that have been there for a while that I've known, but I never connected with Vegas. And there was parts of me that living in Vegas, I would get this, I don't know what it is, it would get some depression. I cannot explain it, but because I just don't want to discount Las Vegas because of the people I know that are so sweet, that are so nice, that, you know what I'm saying, that I've met through the years. I met my good friend Steve in Vegas, actually, and this is like another lifelong friend that I've had over 20 years. Hey Steve, if you're watching this, I don't know if you would sit through watching this. Anyway, from there, I ended up pregnant with my daughter. I was having issues. Another story time. I ended up having to go back to Tampa, which I owned a house in Tampa at the time. So I went back to Tampa, had some issues, and I was living there. And again, it just wasn't, again, at that time period. Again, remember when I say I knew Pinkman's and I knew Fez, I was like, it just, Tampa has never felt home to me. I do have a home there. That's probably where I'm going to retire. But I want to really work my ass off so I can make it just a vacation home, if you get what I'm saying. So I don't have, like, when I retire, I can be like, go here, go there, go, you know what I'm saying? That's what my goal is. So I went back to Tampa. I had my daughter in Tampa. I had my daughter, my youngest daughter, at Tampa General Hospital. And I just wasn't feeling it. So then I went down to Miami. I have some family in Miami. I went independently alone, a single woman. I found a spot. I literally had my daughter in one of those carry-ons. I'll never forget, those carry-ons where you put the baby. And I literally moved into an apartment in Miami. So I lived in Miami, and I'm going to tell you one thing about Florida versus any other state. I don't really care for it. There's not a lot. Like, for instance, I wanted to get my tubes tied. I didn't get my tubes tied when I was pregnant. And during that period of time, this was scary. At the time I was married, he disappeared. He literally like abandoned. Again, that's another story time. But I went to Planned Parenthood. I didn't have insurance. And I was like, I told him, hey, I want to get my tubes tied. I don't want to have it. I have 2 kids already. I don't want any more children. I can't afford this. Like, I did the right thing the second time, got married, and this isn't right. Like, he abandoned me. I'm now all on my own. Like, what the hell? And the doctor, they literally told me I would need a letter from my husband to get my tubes tied in Florida. So anyway, I wouldn't get my tubes tied anyway, but I was disappointed because, as a woman, sometimes what you can handle when it comes to having children, and I had 2. And like I said, I did the right thing. I got married, and I come to find out, another story time what happened. We'll do another story time another time. Probably I'll have to make a Patreon for all of that story or something. Like, I can't, we would be here for a while. So anyway, I lived in Miami, and and I actually got my real estate license, but the market was about to crash. And it's weird. I'm going to tell you something about me. I have this weird little psychic feeling, and like it tells me when to go. So I'm living in Miami, and I'm doing real estate at the time. And then I was also a stripper at the time too. I did 2 jobs, right? And another story time. And before the market even crashed, I said, I got in trouble for doing rentals, because at the time I lived on South Beach, and I was like, this is unrealistic. Like, nobody's catering to the people that work there. Like, this is unrealistic. And I got in trouble I got my name up in the board every day, which was a good thing because I had a sale, but my broker didn't like that I was just doing rentals, but I was targeting an area that everybody just like ignored. And I was like, I was making money. I was handling rentals, whatever. So, and I'll have to do another story time about real estate and investing or whatever, because I could teach everybody a thing or two. So anyway, I lived there, and I was like, yo, this is all gonna come to an end. Like, it just, I didn't see it. And I didn't get believe it or not, like, I had my aunt living there. I had cousins. I didn't really get the support from my family at all. And I was doing everything 100%. I said, I'm going to go back to Vegas. I'm just going to go. Something told me inside, you're better off in Vegas. Like, I heard a voice. So I went to Vegas. What's funny is I went to Vegas, lived there a second time, right after I moved there, right? I'm driving around. And all of a sudden, I get this like inner voice that says, you're going to move to LA. And I'm like thinking to myself, what the fuck ever? What am I better watch my cussing, sorry. What am I going to do in LA? Like, really, what am I going to do in LA? I'm hearing the voice again, the same one that told me to move. And I'm just like, wow, like, what's this voice saying? So you'll never believe what happened. So I ended up, at the time I was real popular on MySpace, and I get a call to be in a movie. And I was like, whoa, that's another story time. Another story. I got stories for days here. Okay. I get called to be in a movie. And I go to LA. I'm like, why not? Let me go for this opportunity. It's a movie. And, and bottom line, I get called for a movie to go be in, whatever. And I get introduced to a whole different world, that another opportunity for work and everything. So I was like, shoot, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to Los Angeles. It was like another avenue opened up of income and just opportunity I never had. So I went ahead and I dived. It was very, very difficult when I first moved to LA. I can tell you one thing, Las Vegas back then was easy to set up. It was easy to find a place, easy to get a place. Los Angeles was, I found a spot, thankfully, because the landlord loved me in Vegas and referred me a real estate agent. So I found a spot in North Hollywood. And that's where I always lived. I always lived in the Valley. I never lived anywhere else in Los Angeles. I'm going to tell you one thing. If ever you're looking to go to LA and live, I always tell people, I like, personally me, I like the Valley. I love the Valley in Los Angeles. Not so much traffic. Santa Monica's expensive and, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, but the Valley, that was my jam. North Hollywood, oh, I loved it. I love living in North Hollywood. The first 2 years, I want to say, were difficult because, again, all my family, like my immediate family, my mom and dad in Florida, and it's me and my younger daughter. At the time, my older daughter was like in high school and everything, and I didn't want to move her. I had her for the summers and everything. I didn't, but things worked out for me in LA, and I lived there for 10 wonderful years. I have to say, the first 2 years were absolutely the hardest, but I am grateful. I am so happy I lived there. I got to hike. I had such a beautiful experience that personally, like, one of my goals that I'm trying to manifest is to be bi-coastal now, to live in New York and to live in LA, to be able just to go boom, 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 that's a big goal that I want, for myself, because like LA was magical. The first 2 years rough for me. And I was like, I remember like times, because again, when I first moved there, all of a sudden the housing crisis happened. I was doing a change of income. Things were just like a little bit tighter. It was harder for me. The first 2 years were super, super difficult. A total adjustment living on the West Coast versus the East Coast. I had a little bit like difficulty, different things. And you can also ask me questions, but overall living there, I love living in LA, and it was great. The hiking is so beautiful. There was weeks where every week I was going to a different hiking spot. I did work in, I worked on a lot of TV and a lot of movie stuff, and I'll go into that. I primarily did extra work. I met a lot of people interesting, and I'll have to go into another video about the entertainment. This is just overall the living. In LA, I learned to really diet, take care of myself. And when I say diet, it wasn't diet to lose weight or anything. It was more about being conscious. And everybody in LA is real conscious. Now, the one thing that I truly, truly miss is I miss good Mexican food from Los Angeles. Oh, I miss it. There's some of my favorite spots. There is. That's why I said I want to be bi-coastal, because there's some spots that I miss. You know what I'm saying? There's some restaurants that I miss, and there's some people I miss. Some, you know what I mean? I love the Mexican community there. They were very nice to me. I am Cuban and I am Puerto Rican. I blended in well, and that community, what I realized, in LA, when you're watching TV, you don't really see sometimes the true LA. And the true LA, a lot of teachers, a lot of LAPD is Mexican Americans. Mexico was owned by, California owned it before it became America. So they're very predominantly on there. But unfortunately, and what I don't like to see, you don't see that representation so much on TV. It's slowly coming back. But when you live in LA, like I miss the parties that I would go to. Oh, I miss the good times. I miss some of my friends. I miss some of the people. I had a good friend named Blanca. She was fun. Jessica is her name, but she goes by Jess. She's another fun friend that I had over there. She's a teacher. Shout out to her. She just had her second baby. I had some wonderful friends over there. Good people. Like, I still follow on Facebook, and they're cool, and I miss them. You know what I mean? They're not, and what's crazy is the people that I miss the most are not like in TV or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a whole different world. That's a whole different YouTube. So I lived there, and again, all of a sudden, I'm living in LA, and I have this weird feeling again. And I was trying to fight it again. Like, it was saying, you're going to go to New York, you're going to go to New York, you're going to go to New York. And then I heard something about Brooklyn. And I ended up going to New York. And that was an experience because, again, I haven't been back since I was, like, I've been back before to New York, but I don't remember when I was a baby, I'll be honest. I thought when I was a kid I lived in Sesame Street. But, so I went back and I moved right in the middle of Manhattan. And the difference between LA and New York, and I'm going to say this, is in LA, I worked out at some of the best places. It's like I worked out with athletes. I went to this one spot where they had Australian, I think it was footballers or some sport. I'm sorry if I don't know the sport. I'm just like, I can't think of the place right now because I should have wrote it down. But like I went to a boxing place where there was a boxer that was a professional boxer. So a lot of workout places, like, they were true athletes. So immediately, like, I love to work out, but I'm not going to do no workout videos. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do, like, or whatever. But I worked out at a lot of different spots and all that in LA that I truly loved. And I came here, and then I was living in the city, and then that was a difficult thing for me. I was like, where am I going to work out? My Pilates place, where am I going to go? What the hell? Like, and so, again, not even the second year was the COVID and pandemic. I was here. I was in New York before the pandemic, so I felt and I saw how it was before. I know how it was. I was there when everything was locked down, but I eventually found all my favorites. One thing I'm going to tell you about New York: when you find your favorite people, your favorite hair people, your favorite nail people, your favorite whatever, you have to hold on to them like this. I didn't have, and I'm talking about beauty, fitness, like my Pilates place. I love my Pilates place here. I tell the owner, I'm like, every instructor is great. I'm probably going to do a YouTube video with them. But in LA, like, everybody's good. I did have a couple of my favorites. I had one lady, her Forever Young Pilates in LA. I don't know if she's still around because of COVID. She was my absolute favorite in LA. But there was a lot of good people in LA, like for working out, for hair, for nail. I had a great lady that did my hair. I love her. I think about her all the time because she was so good. She would dye my hair, and she had like all sorts of tattoos, and she was just like good people because I could really talk to her. In fact, she was a Libra. She was really cool people. But in New York, it's just, oh God. I'm gonna make a YouTube video of all my favorite people in New York. Bottom line, I'm gonna make a YouTube video, and if you're on my team and you're good to me, I'm pushing you. But overall, New York is a little bit different, I will say, because I feel like people in New York, they want to it's like they want to work for their rent, and they're like, it's in New York, like, yo, fucking be a little classy, like take pride in your work. So my hair guy I love, my nail lady I love, my Pilates studio, Ivana Pilates, shout out to you, I love you guys. You guys are great. you know, in New York, when you find the people that you're going to do business with, you want to stay put. You don't want to cheat on them. It's like a serious relationship in New York with the people who do business. In LA, it's more relaxed. Everything's cool. The big difference on transportation, LA, I had to have a car. I've already had the nice cars. Like in Vegas, I had a Mercedes. I had a Mustang Saline. I felt like Vegas people were more flashy with the cars. In LA, I had a Prius. I loved my Prius. And I'll be honest, in New York, like my cars are sitting right now on my Florida property. I don't want to drive. And I like taking the bus. However, at night for my safety, I take Uber. So that is the difference. Like LA, I didn't care. I was like, I'm taking a Prius, let's save on gas. And I don't know if it was, but before the pandemic in LA, like Ubers were cheap. New York, like the Ubers are freaking expensive. Sometimes, not all the time. Like for me to go get to the city, sometimes it's $35 each way. So, you know, I usually do that once a week because I have to like conserve my money. I can't be like, I can't be partying. I have a lot of responsibility. I have 2 adult children. So, yeah, that's pretty much all the places I lived. Vegas, I will say, when it comes to business, I felt like a lot of businesses love to rip you off. I didn't, and then the utilities were high in Vegas. I just never personally cared for Vegas. I know the nicest kind of souls, the best people in the world that I love spending time the most are actually in Vegas, which is crazy for me to not really like to be there. LA, like, oh God, I love it. Like I could just get lost in either LA or New York. LA is spread out, and what's crazy is there's pockets of area, and sometimes you will never see those same people there. But in New York, you run into people, and it's weird. I feel like in a way New York is smaller than LA, but New York is bigger. It's hard to explain, but it's some people we keep on running into each other. So, like I said, Florida, like it, Florida. I know some people might get mad because they're proud of Florida or whatever. You know, yeah, Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a home there. It was cheap to like live. I'm thankful. You know, I do have family there, but whenever I'm there, Florida's never felt like home for me. I don't know how to explain it. You know, if somebody could, if in the comments, share with me if they've ever felt that way, like if where they were raised, do they feel like that really isn't their home? That's how I felt. It's weird. I felt more at home in LA, and I feel very at home here in Brooklyn. So those are my 2 spots that I absolutely love. You know what I mean? So guys, thank you so much for the story time. If you have any questions, I would greatly appreciate it. This is a longer video than normal, because I wanted to pinpoint the parts about living in different areas. I've been sort of a gypsy, and you know, please ask questions, share with me or anything, you know, for the story time or whatever. Please like, subscribe, click on notifications, and have a wonderful day.